This video is actually about something I'm super passionate about, and I know that LinkedIn doesn't get the best rep, but I'm hoping by the end of this video, I'll be able to give you 2 key insights on how you can use LinkedIn to your advantage and actually better yourself as a result of using LinkedIn. Now, firstly, I know what you're thinking. LinkedIn's just this app full of loads of people blowing their own trumpets and just talking about all their achievements. And I get it because loads of people on LinkedIn use it that way. Instead, in this video, I'll be talking about the 2 main ways that I use LinkedIn and how that has changed my life. So the first thing I want to talk about is how you can actively seek opportunities and information on LinkedIn and network with people to help us achieve our goals. And then the second thing to discuss is personal branding and generally how to put yourself out there on LinkedIn to essentially create more inbound opportunities rather than purely seeking them out yourself. Okay, so firstly, let's talk about how to seek out opportunities on LinkedIn. Now, personally, I unlocked the potential of LinkedIn during year 12 when I was trying to apply for medicine, and I wasn't sure if medical school was the right choice for me. So essentially, I started by seeking out doctors who were working in the NHS and medical students at different universities and just sending them a connection request. There's loads of professionals and students out there who use all the keywords that you might be interested in their bios. So if you just search up words like doctor or software engineering intern or whatever you're interested in, you'll definitely find people who do the things that you want to be doing, and you can actively just seek out those connections by just hitting connect on LinkedIn. Now, obviously not everyone's going to connect with you, but the ones that do connect have essentially given you some form of permission that you can message them if you want. Now, obviously my intention with messaging these doctors and medical students was to find out what medical school and being a doctor is really like, and then use their experiences to figure out if medical school was actually for me. So my ask was always very simple. I'd just say, hey, I'm a year 12 student who's also an aspiring medic. I was wondering if I could have a quick 20-minute chat with you to just find out what your life is like as a medical student / doctor. And obviously, once you've sent that message in whatever field that you're interested in and the kind of people that you want to have conversations with, you're not always going to get a yes from them. A lot of the time you get ignored because people are busy and they're just not able to respond to you, and that's completely okay. As long as you send out a bunch of connection requests and then send out a bunch of messages as well, you'll surely get a few responses. Now, I had a few doctors that responded to me, and at that point we just had a quick call. I just found out about their life, and it was really interesting to just hear what they were up to, and it did really help me to inform my decision on whether I wanted to study medicine. So now we're comfortable with the idea that we can use LinkedIn to ask people who are in our industries to help us out a little bit. But the second thing on LinkedIn when it comes to opportunities or seeking opportunities is actually using LinkedIn as a source to find internships or jobs. A lot of the time, companies or people might not share opportunities as easily on places like Instagram, TikTok, or even job markets like Indeed. Or even if they do, it might be difficult for you to find those things. Instead, if you're on LinkedIn and you've followed or connected with people that are in this space, you're more likely to see what their posts are. And sometimes those posts include links to applications for internships or jobs. So for me personally, by just being connected with different people on LinkedIn, I saw an opportunity to work with a medtech startup as an internship over my year 2 summer holiday. And it was such a brilliant opportunity, but the reason I was able to access it was because I was connected with the right people on LinkedIn and sufficiently active on the platform where I could see posts where opportunities were shared. So that's my 2 personal examples of outbound opportunity seeking on LinkedIn. So hopefully I've convinced you so far to at least make an account and connect with people that you think are interesting, because you might be able to get opportunities that way or just by messaging them as well. But the second use of LinkedIn is an absolute goldmine, and not enough people are talking about it, and even fewer people are actually doing it. And the second thing is sharing their own ideas and creating a personal brand. Now, personal brand is this keyword that's thrown across everywhere, but I want to try and define it as simply as I can. So if we start by defining brand itself, one of the best definitions I've seen is from Alex Hormozy, who talks about how they used to brand cows to tell the other farmers who owned that cow. And therefore you would change the way you would behave depending on what that brand was on the cow. So how can we use this in this context where we're not farmers and we're trying to build this personal brand? Now, the way I define personal brand is simply what people say about you when you're not in the room. But obviously a lot of that is to do with your actions and what you choose to share, because whatever you put out there is the kind of things that people will be able to use and talk about. And there's a big misconception about personal brand, which is why LinkedIn gets such a bad rep as well, which is that personal brand is all about making a big song and dance about yourself. And again, as I said earlier, just blowing your own trumpet and making yourself seem the center of attention. But an amazing way that I've learned to think about it through Daniel Priestley's example is instead of putting yourself in the spotlight, it's to be the spotlight for your ideas. So essentially all you're doing in personal branding, or if you choose to post anything on LinkedIn, is sharing what you think about a topic or about something that you've learned. Even this video that you're watching right now just comes from me having learned something and wanting to share that idea with you. So you can most definitely do the same thing because you have so many experiences in your life that were interesting, that someone else can learn from, and essentially you're able to give all the lessons without the scars. And sometimes it's not even sharing lessons or principles or being the expert in a situation. Sometimes it's okay to just share what you're feeling and the emotions that you're having at a time because other people are experiencing the same thing as you. And as a result of personal branding, you start to build this community around you of people who think similar to you and can actually start connecting on different experiences, not purely professional, but just general ideas that you've had and chosen to share with the world. And as a result of personal branding or choosing to post on LinkedIn, you learn so many skills. The first thing is you start to experience content creation in the first place, because even though you're not making videos long form or short form, it doesn't matter. The point is that you're creating written content, which in turn makes you a content creator. And beyond that, I think writing is the key building block of ideas and thoughts and experiences. So if you can improve your ability to write, you actually start to improve the experiences around you as well. But before we get way too abstract, we can actually talk about the practical applications of a personal brand and how it can change the opportunities that come through the door. Firstly, you get access to some really cool events and really cool people who bring about opportunities. They might have a startup which they want help with, or they might have a job for you, or they might just have an event that you might be invited to because you're a key person of influence in a certain space like careers or university or tech, whatever that might be. And then through that, you start to actually make more and more connections. And overall, personal branding, especially on LinkedIn, just improves a huge stack of skills. And especially at the moment, the market is so unsaturated that it's very easy to create content on LinkedIn and share your thoughts and share your ideas and most definitely make connections and build a group of people around you who have similar ideas and thoughts. So hopefully now you have two new ways that you can use LinkedIn. Firstly, to create outbound opportunities for yourself, and secondly, to create inbound opportunities and your own personal brand. And now hopefully you have a slightly different perspective on the use of LinkedIn if you were slightly skeptical at the start. So that concludes this video on this one app that has absolutely transformed my life. Please do subscribe if you find videos like this entertaining, and I'll see you next time.